Hola, muy buenas a todos, aquí Demray, estamos de nuevo en Stanley Parable, el juego más paranoia del mundo. Y bueno, hoy vamos a empezar desde aquí, donde se toma la primera decisión en las dos puertas. Y voy a seguir lo que me va diciendo, es decir, voy a entrar por la izquierda, pero voy a desviarme un poquito antes.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Y aquí está la puerta, esta broom closet. Que alguien me dijo que me quedara aquí un rato.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Y que pasaría algo interesante, así que nada, vamos a esperar.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Voy a cerrar y todo, por si acaso.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
La verdad es que tiene diálogos para todo, ¿eh? Es que es impresionante la cantidad de cosas distintas que te puede decir el narrador.
Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Aunque tomes el mismo camino dos veces seguidas, con que hagas una cosa distinta o la hagas más rápido o cualquier cosa ya te dice otra cosa. Está muy currado este juego.
But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Y si no sirve para nada porque estaba la puerta abierta.
Its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Joder, Stanley te está poniendo...
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability
yo
of
estoy
your
bien, a mí no me
species.
cuentes historias.
Please remove their corpse from
Tú
the
preocúpate de
area and
Stanley.
instruct another human to take their place at the computer, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
No sé si salir todavía o quedarme un rato más. Venga, yo creo que vamos a salir ya. Ya ha estado bien, ¿no?
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board.
Jugador 2.
I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Vale, aquí es donde me voy a desviar.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
La
boss's
otra vez,
office.
bueno, las otras dos veces fui escaleras arriba y ahora voy a ir hacia abajo. A ver qué nos encontramos y cómo salta el narrador. A ver qué me cuenta por aquí. De momento nada.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar.
Sí, no, las habitaciones son todo el rato las mismas, se están repitiendo.
And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. "I'm dreaming!" he yelled. "This is all a dream." Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone.
No creo que vaya a ser tan sencillo, un sueño.
Crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts.
Vale, eso ha sido un poco
lioso.
lioso.
I thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams. The truth was that, of course, this was not a dream.
Ahora no es un sueño, vale.
Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life.
Voy a parar aquí ya porque
tontería que esté dando vueltas. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up.
¿Y desde cuándo te puedes despertar cuando quieres?
The press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal.
Hombre, muy normal, si te digo la verdad, no es.
I am okay.
Va a ser que no.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice?
Esto se vuelve paranoiante.
And everything went black.
What?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Vale.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like.
Todo el mundo sabe cómo se ve la gente loca.
She thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
No te lo aseguro,
It was comforting
Mariela.
to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Mirando el cuerpo y luego se larga. Vale, pues de esta Stanley se ha vuelto loco y ha palmado. Y estamos aquí de nuevo, en el principio. Bueno, pues supongo que eso sería otro de los finales, así que vamos a ir dejando el vídeo por aquí. Espero que os haya gustado esta parte y nos vemos en la siguiente. Hasta otra.